Week 10. What a strange week in fantasy football. A lot of disappointments, and hopefully for you, a lot of encouraging signs for your team. Hopefully you locked in the playoffs, or at least you're in the playoff race. Let's talk about the week. Let's get straight to it. A lot to talk about. No time to waste.
Welcome to the FantasyLand Football Podcast.
Okay.
Wow.
Welcome. It's Zach here. I'm with my co-host, Badaki. And Week 10 is officially in the books, except for one game. You know, we got one game tonight, but most of you will probably know if you've won your week or lost your week. It is the 16th of November. Hoping you're having a great Monday morning. Badaki, how was your week this week in fantasy football?
It's all right. Look, it's always a bittersweet thing when your team wins and you lose in fantasy.
Yeah,
it's a bittersweet moment. But look, I'm doing good. Look, I can probably safe to say that I am in the playoffs. Number one, number two, the Giants have an opportunity to make it to the playoffs. So it was a good weekend,
which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
Look, I am less happy. I lost in most leagues I care about, and the Washington football team lost, which I guess is a good thing because trying to tank for one of those quarterbacks.
The GG's, boys. Thanks for playing.
All right, lots to talk about. Let's get into some news.
What is going on here?
What is going on around the National Football League? Need to know news on your Monday morning. Start us off, Badaki, with some not so exciting news on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have a couple of quarterbacks hurt right now and are in question for next week's game. Teddy Bridgewater, obviously, you guys saw he went out with a right knee injury in the fourth quarter. MRI should be coming later on today. Also, Drew Brees left with a rib injury. MRI also be coming soon today. And it's crazy to say that these two guys got hurt at the same time because Drew Brees or Teddy Bridgewater was Drew Brees' backup. Now they have to rely on Jameis, which is funny to look at,
It's strange. And as a Michael Thomas owner, what a sad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, JaMychal Hasty, not good news again. Broken collarbone. He's out the rest of the season. I'd like to say that this makes the backfield a little more clear in San Francisco, but I believe Raheem Mostert is coming back next week. What's Raheem's value anymore? We answered this on the live stream last week. Probably an RB2 at best, right?
Yeah, RB2 at best. I still think he will come in. I think he can definitely put up fantasy points for your team, but I think he's going to be broken in slowly.
Yeah. Chris Carson, there's a little article that came out last night. Maybe not an article, a little news segment.
Yeah.
Where Pete Carroll was asked about Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, and he said, hey, I'd love to tell you that they're going to be ready, but I can't say that for sure. So what we can tell you is obviously the Seahawks play on Thursday night. It is a short week for them. Mm-hmm. Anything could happen. It will be a game time decision.
Yeah. Hey,
best way to stay up to date with all this information is to follow us on our social media accounts. Instagram is at FantasyLand Football. Twitter is at FantasyLand_FB. By the way, if you're listening, you can watch the podcast on YouTube. Just search Fantasyland Football. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. And if you're watching on YouTube, congratulations, you're seeing our beautiful faces. But you can also watch, or listen rather, on any podcast platform in the world.
Wow.
Lots to talk about. Let's get into straight cash.
If you don't write checks, how do you pay these guys?
Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash. All right.
Cash. Wow.
Every week we give you straight cash and just trash. We always like to start off with the cash. You want the good news or the bad news? We'll give you the good news first. But Aki, it was a strange week all around for most people. I think at halftime of the morning games, most people probably had very few points for their team and slowly started to pick up, but it was a bunch of random players who scored, but strange week.
Yeah, definitely a strange week. It's very interesting how everything played off here this week in Week 10. But let's start off with quarterbacks here. Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we said it. I've said it. I'm pretty sure Zach could agree with me, though. We all expected Tom to come back and come out really, really strong. 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, 31 fantasy points. If you started Tom Brady this week, you are extremely excited. You are happy. Yep. And then also Kyler Murray, 245 yards and a touchdown. Literally last seconds of the game. 200. Wow. I mean 200. Wow. 200. Imagine you get 290 points per one player. 29 points for Kyler Murray. Well, I mean, take that touchdown away.
You should add a bonus to your leagues if it's a last second touchdown. It counts for 10 points instead of 6. I don't know.
It's
a random idea.
Yeah, in a league I was in back in the day when I first started, you used to get extra points if your player went over like 100 yards, 200 yards. For every 100 yards, you'll get like 1 or 2 points. You get rewarded that way. Yeah,
I faced Tom Brady this week, so not awesome. But both of these quarterbacks.
Straight cash, homie.
Played really well. Let's talk about the running back position. Alvin Kamara is back on top of the fantasy world this week.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is Alvin only had 8 carries for 15 yards. Is that correct? Are we sure those are the correct stats?
That is the correct stats. So let's double check.
Wow. That's insane. To think if you looked at Alvin's stat line today and the first part you read was 8 carries, 15 yards, you would think, oh, no, not a good day.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also tacking on 7 receptions for 83 yards and 3 total touchdowns, finishing with just under 35 PPR fantasy points. My goodness.
You're happy.
What a week.
You're happy if you have Alvin Kamara, let's be honest. I mean, I think we were expecting this. Were you expecting this from him against the 49ers?
Not. I was not expecting this, if I'm honest with you. I more expected Michael Thomas to be involved in the game plan a lot more.
Yeah.
And he had 7 targets. We're going to talk about him later on the show. I think you know why. But this is concerning as a Michael Thomas owner. If you're owning Alvin Kamara, you are cheering. Yeah. And maybe this quarterback situation helps Alvin Kamara more than anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it hurts. I think it can help Alvin Kamara in the passing game. I think it hurts as well for Alvin Kamara because Jameis is very inaccurate. I mean,
yeah,
the least he can do is probably throw down a check down, and still I don't think he can even do that. So it could affect Alvin and for sure Michael Thomas. We're gonna see.
Right. Josh Jacobs, 29 fantasy points. Popped off, 21 carries, 112 yards. Mm-hmm. And the big news to talk about, 4 receptions, only 24 yards. But if you can get Josh Jacobs to get you 4 receptions a game
huge
in a PPR league, that's massive. That raises his ceiling from a top 12 guy to a top 8 guy every week if he can get that. Very happy, all the Josh Jacobs owners out there. DeAndre Swift, we got a little nice notification before the games saying, hey, DeAndre's the starter. He's about to get all the touches. We're going to let him do his thing. Finishes with 21 touches, over 100 and almost over 150 all-purpose yards and a touchdown, finishing with 26 fantasy points. DeAndre Swift going forward. Can he be a RB2, RB1 going forward? What's the ceiling here for Swift if he's getting all these touches?
I think he can definitely be an RB2. I think I would probably rank him a little bit higher than most. I think I would be more comfortable starting a DeAndre Swift over a Kenyon Drake, perhaps over a
Raheem Mostert.
Yeah. After we just talked, yeah, absolutely.
Back. I love it. Okay, what happened with Ronald Jones? He
man,
decided to be good again?
Yeah, he went off. I know you're not happy about that. 23 carries, 192 yards, a touchdown.
Yeah,
Obviously, you saw he broke out for that 98-yard run, which was crazy. I thought the guy was going to catch him.
Yeah, I was praying that he caught him.
He was looking at the Jumbotron running, and he's like, he was like trying to anticipate the guy falling, like trying to trip him.
Do that again. Do the run again. That was absolutely beautiful if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, look, I played Tom Brady and Ronald Jones in a bunch of leagues, and I was feeling pretty confident about facing Ronald Jones going in.
Yeah.
And then he decides to pop off for a 98-yard touchdown. Obviously, great for the Ronald Jones owners. Also, if anyone out there started Nyheim Hines on Thursday night, you are feeling like a very smart fantasy player.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he was on most people's benches, and they weren't able to experience that. Probably a preview to tomorrow's waiver wire column. Hey.
Absolutely. He is definitely, I think he should definitely be on the waiver wire. I mean, 28 fantasy points, that's something that has to be something moving forward. Like, I don't think this is a one-off thing. I think it's crazy. It's crazy.
Nyheim Hines has had 3 games with multiple touchdowns.
Oh my God, he on X Games mode.
We'll talk about him, but bring us up to date with the wide receivers. Who popped off this week, Badaki?
Yeah, look, some not questionable names, but it's not even unknown.
Not the stars at all.
Yeah, not the stars. Cole Beasley, 13 targets, 11 reception, 109, 1 touchdown, 27 fantasy points. I mean, obviously, we saw what the Bills were doing. They were spreading the ball around.
Mm-hmm.
Keelan Cole. I mean, who?
Yep.
Yeah, Keelan Cole. He did his thing too, kind of. 5 receptions, 7 targets. I mean, he got 3 touchdowns. 1 was a kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah.
27 fantasy points. And this is somebody I'm not really targeting. Are you targeting him?
No, I don't think I think we will mention him on the waiver show tomorrow, but I think we are both a little bit hesitant on Keelan Cole as an option going forward.
Yeah.
Just because he's got a lot of games where he's going to ghost you as well. But let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, my goodness. D-Hop, Nuke, whatever you want to call him, had 12 targets on the day. But let's talk about what really matters. The Hail Mary. That's right. I said the Hail Mary.
Back in 82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Look, DeAndre Hopkins, well, that catch, is that potentially the best Hail Mary catch you've seen in your lifetime? I'm trying to think of in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm only 26, but I'm trying to think of a better Hail Mary catch that I've seen. This dude went up at the pinnacle of where the ball was. He had to grab it. I actually saw a photo. He had the Jordan brand gloves. Another person had the Nike brand gloves and an Adidas brand gloves. They were all right next to each other. And someone said, "This is a Jordan ad." It's actually hilarious.
Is that actually true? Are they all
No,
wearing...
it's very true. Yeah, all these brands are right beside each other, and DeAndre's wearing the Jordan gloves. And someone said, "This is a Jordan ad." You have to make this a Jordan ad. DeAndre Hopkins, oh my goodness.
Bro, I don't know if you guys saw the post-game interview where he was just like...
That was funny.
I don't remember. All I remember, he was just like, yep. There was 3 guys in position. And, DeAndre Hopkins' eye caught it, essentially. He spoke about himself in third person. It was funny.
Pretty funny, actually. All right, let's finish off these wide receivers right quick. Stephon Diggs popped off, had a really great game, has been such a great player this year, especially considering where he was drafted, 25 fantasy points. And MVS with the long ball, just under 25 fantasy points. MVS will probably be on the waiver show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in there to hear if you should pick him up or not. But the tight end position this week. Yeah, it was not good. It was a really gross week from the tight ends. And we can normally say that, but normally there's someone who's got at least 18 or so points. The highest tight end on the week, tight end 1, has 13.1 fantasy points in PPR. Mark Andrews. which is good. I mean, you want to see Mark Andrews as a tight end one.
Yeah, I mean,
right? This is good news.
Did he really perform? You know, like, is this something that like I'm okay with? Like, I don't know. I guess
you have to be.
Yeah, you have to be okay with it. Mark Andrews getting you 13 points is still such a huge disappointment, but it's better than most weeks.
Yeah. I also faced Gronk. Gronk also had 13 points. If you can't tell, I am a little bit salty today because I did not expect certain players to do what they did. But run us through some honorable mentions for the cash list, Badaki.
That's right. Deontay Johnson, we said somebody was going to take off. I think everyone ate on that Steelers offense, 23 fantasy points. Rex Burkhead with 2 touchdowns, 22 fantasy points. Antonio Gibson.
Antonio.
20.
Okay, free Gibby. Go ahead.
Free Gibby. 22 fantasy points. You know, emerging from the ashes is DJ Moore with 19 fantasy points. Wow. I mean, there was a huge conversation in our chat earlier today about DJ Moore.
Yes.
Wayne Goldman, my boy. I mean, if you're backing up Saquon, you got to do something. And Nicky Chubb back on the field.
Yep.
A lot of people
I love it.
Could have been upset with him, some would say.
Yeah, look, I was in a desperate place this week, but if he had scored that touchdown and AJ Green had literally just done something, then I would have probably won my matchup. There's a lot of if and buts all over fantasy football, though, and the reality is I'm glad to have Chubby back. He looked great, so if you waited on him, congratulations. Well done. Okay, every time we give you cash, we also got to give you trash, right? So let's talk about trash of the week.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
He needs some milk.
Okay. I know we don't want to talk about it, but we have to.
That's right.
Trash of the week, Badaki. Start us off with quarterbacks who were just trash this week.
Yeah, look, what's crazy to say, now in question, MVP, Russell Wilson with 2 back-to-back not too hot of a games, 2 losses for the Seattle Seahawks as well, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, 9.9 fantasy points for the quote-unquote MVP of the year. Just frustrating if you have Russell Wilson. Also, Drew Luck. You know, a lot of people, you know, probably streamed him, had the mindset of, you know, he has a great matchup against the Raiders. This is a divisional game. This can be, you know, an opportunity for him to go off. No. 4 interceptions, just under 7 fantasy points. If you started him, you are absolutely pissing yourself.
What a way to describe it. Yeah, look, obviously Drew Lock was a lot of people streamed him.
Yeah.
He didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. And I'm sorry, Broncos fans, but I'm just going to say I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's really the guy.
You don't think he's the guy at all?
And no, I mean, do you feel like he has the potential to be the guy in Denver? What has he shown you this year? I mean, there's been 1 or 2 pretty decent games. What's he shown you?
I think there's glimpses there. I think they need to give him a little bit more time. You know, this technically was his first full year coming in. He was hurt. He missed 3 games. He's in a really tough division, number 1, number 2. I think they need to get more weapons. He lost his main weapon, Cortland Sutherland. So he's hurt there. Obviously, Melvin Gordon's first year with the team. You know, like there's a lot of ends and for buts and X factors. I feel like we need to give him technically year 2 with the full team.
Sure.
That's my thought process.
Let me give you a number, okay? The number is 10. What do you think that number is?
10 interceptions or 10 fumbles, turnovers.
In the last 5 games, and this isn't including fumbles, Drew Lock has thrown 10 interceptions in the last 5 games. Interceptions, yes, they can be fixed, but I'm just saying I don't think he's that guy. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I like Drew Lock. I spent some time in Kansas City, Missouri. I like Missouri University, Mizzou.
I
would
Missouri.
love Drew Lock to be the guy, but this week, both Russell Wilson and Drew Lock.
He needs some milk.
Let's talk about the running back position. James Conner, back-to-back trash.
Again.
And this is on him, I think. I think this game is on him. Last game, I don't think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he did play pretty poor here. 13 carries for 36 yards, finishing with under 7 fantasy points. Is James Conner going to recover from this? Does he have the top 8 running back weeks going forward?
It's hard to say. I think he still has the opportunity to bounce back. He's playing Jacksonville next week. He has Baltimore, Washington, Buffalo. I mean, Jacksonville, he can definitely take off. Baltimore, I mean, we saw what Rex Burkhead and Damian Harris kind of did to them today or last night. And he plays the Washington football. I think he there's glimpses there. He was so consistent throughout the year, and then he just has a massive dropping. Why? I'm not really sure. Maybe the scheme has changed. They wanted to change it up. He still had the opportunity. I see 13 carries. It's huge. He hasn't done anything with it.
No, he hasn't done anything with it. All right. Well, there's obviously opportunity, but take us through the rest of this running back list.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, obviously Thursday Night Football. You saw, I mean, who can you trust? Once again, obviously, we talked about Naeem Hines, Jordan Wilkins, all these guys. Jonathan Taylor, to me, is just not that guy. I talked about it a lot. I just don't think he's a great fit for this offense and for this team. I would have loved to see him somewhere else. Maybe I'm talking a bit too early. 5.7 fantasy points for Jonathan Taylor. Duke Johnson, I mean, another perfect opportunity here. Just missed. 14 carries, 54 yards, 5.4 fantasy points. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it was. DJ Dallas.
Surprise.
This is probably the most disappointing, maybe the next guy, running back of the week, but DJ Dallas played amazing when they gave him the RB1 role.
Yeah.
And then they decided to sign Alex Collins, the veteran. They're like, DJ Dallas, kind of done with you. Sorry, man. Don't really care to get you involved in the game.
Yeah,
4 touches on the game. What the heck?
I think when Pete Carroll brought back Alex Collins, he was just like, you know what, Alex, we know you. I trust you. Like, we'll give you the role. We know you haven't been playing for a while. Pete Carroll plays with his emotions. He plays per relationship.
Very much like a Mike Shanahan.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting. DJ Dallas, we told a lot of people to start him. You wouldn't
You started him.
We wouldn't known this scenario. Yeah, I started him. I was really disappointed. The first drive came out, Alex Collins was on there, and I was questioning. I was like, what is going on? And then it was clear that he was the guy. So
strange to me, very strange to me, because when you have a young rookie do really well, like DJ did when he had that role, normally you give him more opportunities. It's kind of a prove it until you don't prove it scenario. And they didn't really give him an opportunity to prove it. Only 4 touches, but to be honest, because he had 4 touches and he has over 30 yards, that's pretty impressive to have 4 touches and over 30 yards.
Yeah, that means
I would have loved to see DJ Dallas as the RB1 here instead of Alex Collins. Alex Collins did fine. I just would have loved to see what DJ had there. I think he's a good rookie. But
I believe
you know what?
It's frustrating.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Melvin Gordon, 11 carries, 46 yards, just 4.6 fantasy points. And I guess we can also add Philip Lindsay's performance there. Not a good day from any Denver Bronco necessarily. Philip Lindsay finishing with 0.2 points.
Wow. That's just bad.
A lot of people were saying, I really want to own Philip Lindsay because Melvin Gordon might have this DUI court date and might miss 3 games. And this is bleak to say the least.
Bleak. No, absolutely. It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's coming to a point where I don't want to own a Denver Broncos player.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. I didn't know if we were going to talk that out, but I guess there's
I mean,
not really much else
we
to say.
can definitely talk it out. I'm happy to talk it out, you know? Like, do you want to
I don't
break
really
it down?
want to talk about it. I don't really want to talk. Nah, break it down. No. Let's move on. We're just breaking people's hearts today.
That's
okay,
right.
DK Metcalf owners, how are you feeling today? Probably not so grand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
What happened with DK this
best
week?
believe that he is going to take off next week. Please don't worry. He is upset that he was only targeted 4 times, for the day. So
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, he's gonna have a conversation. I mean, don't get it twisted. Jalen Ramsey is a great corner, and kudos to him. 2 receptions, 28 yards, 4 targets, 4.8 fantasy points for DK Metcalf. Extremely disappointing, and I think this was the big talk right now. I think this is kind of what we kind of want to break down. Michael Thomas, 2 receptions, 7 targets, 4.7 fantasy points.
Yeah,
I think this is a really big conversation purely because a lot of people have sat on him. He came back, and he didn't have the best performance. I think last week he just surpassed the 10 point threshold, and this week only 7 targets. Wow. Okay, that's a extremely low number for MT, and obviously 4.7 fantasy points. That's just not acceptable.
That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful.
Okay, so here's the thing. I own Michael Thomas in a league,
right?
And I am a little bit. I'm more than a little bit concerned. I'm not fully pushing the panic button, but the combination of 7 targets is the most attractive thing I can see here.
Right.
But the combination of only 7 targets, Drew Brees' injury, Jameis Winston potentially at quarterback. As a Michael Thomas owner, I am very open to hearing offers from Michael Thomas now. Very open. I would much prefer Stephon Diggs. I would much prefer someone I can just promise the points because I want to believe in Michael Thomas, and I don't think you can sell Michael Thomas if you don't have a good offer. You have to just ride it out.
Yeah.
But it's very concerning going forward, and I am a little bit in panic mode, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I would definitely be in panic mode. I think this was my concern coming in, when Michael Thomas was out. If you heard the podcast couple weeks ago now, I was talking about MT and who I would rather have. It's Julio Jones or MT. I think it's clear it's Julio Jones. Michael Thomas is hurt. He had a really serious injury. It's hard to bounce back from that, number one, and then obviously the offense is struggling. But Thursday Night Football, AJ Brown, another huge disappointment. 1 reception, 4 targets, 3.1 fantasy points. You saw that pass that he dropped. Could have been a completely different story. Would have been a touchdown and more.
Wide open touchdown, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Absolutely. Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson both combined for 10 fantasy points. They both.
Yikes.
It was just obviously a lot of people started Curtis Samuel. I started Robbie Anderson. You thought that these guys were going to get at least some fantasy points, especially Robbie. Curtis was still being utilized, just didn't do much with it.
Right. Yeah, and obviously Christian Kirk finishes off that list. Did not have the game that you saw in the last couple weeks, finishing with under 7 fantasy points. And again, with trash, we have to go to the tight end position.
Oh! Ew!
Yes, we have to play it twice.
I love the
because...
hell. Like it's so Play it again.
You want me to play? Okay. Tight end position.
Oh! Ew!
Yeah, it really does feel like that, no matter who you started at tight end. All right. Jared Cook provided the chef special goose egg, please.
Ooh.
Can I please have 1 goose egg special? And the Saints said, yes, absolutely. You can have a goose egg special. Here is 0 points on 2 targets. Jared Cook going forward, what's happened? It's declined really quickly.
Yeah. Maybe those 4 fantasy points should be going to Jared Cook instead of Michael Thomas, essentially. You can't trust it. I think in this team, there's too many mouths to feed. Jared Cook is a he's a veteran tight end. He's reliable.
Yeah.
As a tight end in the tight end position, as a human being, Jared Cook, but he's not reliable in fantasy, I don't think.
Yep. Evan Ingram, man, popped off last week and had a really great week, and the matchup was good, finishing with 3.5 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Hawkinson, maybe the most disappointing, I don't know, up to you, but maybe it was the most disappointing start of the week.
Yeah.
Had the great matchup against the Washington football team. Finishes with 3.3 fantasy points in PPR. This is sad because the matchup was supposed to be juicy.
Yeah. The Washington football team came to play, okay, number one. Yeah. They were down
we did.
By like 20?
Mm-hmm.
And then just came back. What incredible comeback. I think they abandoned the passing game for a little bit, and then they had to start back up. Yeah. So maybe TJ Hawkinson was lost in that time period because, they got comfortable.
Yep. That was our trash of the week. Hey, if you got some people on the trash list, do not worry because there's always next week.
That's right.
They could find themselves on the cash list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got to give the hope to your Monday. Okay, guys, there is now an opportunity for you to support the show through Patreon. Patreon.com/FantasyLandFam is the easiest way to support the show. But Aki, tell us a little bit more about what this means for our listeners.
Absolutely. Look, Patreon is just a way for you to, like Zach said, show support. If you love what we do, if you love the show, and if you want us to continue to give you fantasy football advice and just give you some great content, this is a way to support. We have 3 different tiers on our website. Go check it out. You can fit in one of those tiers. And not just this year. Obviously, a lot of people have either lost their motivation, losing out of the playoffs or not making the playoffs. But let's gear up for next year.
Absolutely
focus on next year for the people that didn't make the playoffs, and we can definitely help you out. Patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.
Yep.
Are you ready for some football?
Are you ready for some football?
Are you ready for some football?
All right,
oh my
let's
goodness.
go. Monday Night Football, and it is a beautiful matchup.
That's right.
A divisional game.
Pumped.
The 3-5 Vikings at the 5-4 Bears. You know what, Badaki?
Mm-hmm.
If the Vikings win this game with the extra playoff team now, they are not out of the playoffs, which is pretty insane to say.
That's right.
Considering the way they started the season. I'm really excited to watch this game. And I feel like we have to get this cloud of the just trash list out of here. We got to just push the bad vibes out of here.
Sage the room.
That's right. Let's get some good energy in this place. Okay, let's talk about the game. The Vikings.
Yeah,
Who are we
absolutely.
looking at here? Obviously, you got your boy Dalvin.
Yeah, you have Dalvin, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Irv Smith, just to say the names really fast, but let's break them down. Adam Thielen, back-to-back games under 6 points. I personally think this is the game that he goes off, and this is the game that he finds it. Let me rephrase that. This is not the game he goes off. This is the game that he at least finds the end zone. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually playing against Adam Thielen, and I don't like saying this, but it's true. I personally believe it. I have a gut feeling. I think he will get his targets. I also believe Justin Jefferson is going to do that. He's averaging 7.5 fantasy points in the last 2 games currently right now. So much to talk about, honestly, with this team.
Yeah, definitely. And both of these guys have been disappointing, to say the least, in the last couple games, but I agree. I think this is an opportunity for them to put up better weeks. Irv Smith, guys, look, if you picked him up, well, you can, but I would just strongly advise against starting him going forward. He had 2 touchdowns last week, but he also had 10 yards total in receiving. So
yeah,
I just feel like he's not really going to be a consistent guy that you can start. But let's talk about the Bears side of the ball. The Bears, 5-4, which we they've been struggling as of late, obviously.
Right.
I feel like the only guy I'm super sold on this team is Allen Robinson. And, Allen Robinson, if he was on a different team, I think he could really be, my gosh, his respect level would just go up.
Get him on the Giants.
I don't know if I would want him on the Giants, but look, I mean, there's another team out there, I'm sure, that would love to have him. And I think he would ball out. But obviously he's doing well with the Bears. You're starting him. He does have that injury, but most likely to play.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is probably the best thing about this offense right now. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Allen Robinson's extremely talented wide receiver. I think he can have a game. I think he will have a game. I mean, there's not really much more I can say about that. Allen Robinson. Jimmy Graham is another guy that we're also looking at right now. He's currently tied in number 6, surprisingly, something like that.
Yep.
And it's the old man Jimmy Graham, like you say. I also believe he can find the end zone this game. Just have to see if the opportunity's there, or if somebody else doesn't take off.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's really the only way he's going to be even somewhat fantasy relevant is if he finds the end zone. Otherwise, he's not going to be relevant at all.
Mm-hmm.
But such is the tight end position. David Montgomery is officially out, obviously, dealing with the concussion. So the question is, who's going to be the guy in the backfield? We talked about this a little bit on our live stream on Saturday. We do go live on Saturdays on YouTube to answer any start-sit questions. So join us this week if you'd like to. Would love to have you there. But who's going to be the guy? Obviously, Ryan Nall seemed to be the guy last week to take the work. Do you expect Nall to have a good game this week? Is he going to be the guy with the touches, or is it more Cordell Patterson with the kind of Swiss Army, I guess, role in this offense?
Yeah. Look, I think that I might be going back on my word here. I said Cordell Patterson early in the week. I have a feeling it's Ryan Nall now. And
okay,
reason that being a lot of reports that I'm seeing and hearing is that, he's just going to be utilized. And I think Cordell Patterson is going to be used differently. And he's going to be used as a running back. But I think they're going to get him in the slot. They want to use him a little bit more as a receiver. Look, Once again, it's all reports. It's all beat writers. It's all this and that. He said, she said. We really don't know what's going to happen. He scored a touchdown last week. I still think he can find the end zone if they get into the red zone. But
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, yeah, this Chicago team is it's hard to watch, and I know that sounds rude, but they're winning games, but sometimes really hard to watch them win those games. And I guess last question here: who's going to win this game, Badaki? Who do you have winning the game? I'm personally probably going to be taking the Vikings. I just believe in the talent on this offense, and that's really the only reason why. But do you agree with me there?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree that the Vikings are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I just want to quickly say, I think Nick Foles has a great matchup as well. Not because I'm starting him, but just because I genuinely believe he has a great matchup. I think the Vikings give up, I think, the 6th or 7th most fantasy points to quarterbacks right now.
Okay.
I mean, obviously with David Montgomery out, I think he has the opportunity to do something.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I just thought of, though, it is Monday night. It's a primetime game. So will Kirk Cousins perform? That's always been the story with Kirk Cousins.
Absolutely.
Can he perform on primetime? I'm looking forward to seeing if he can or not. But let's talk about some drop candidates. We're going to give you 2 thoughts. Me and Badaki, we're both going to give you 2 thoughts for 2 drops.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant.
All right. 2 thoughts for 2 drops. These are 2 people we are considering dropping in fantasy football. We're going to talk about it. We're going to tell you if we are dropping them. First up, my guy, AJ Green.
AJ Jeremiah Green.
Let me tell you something. AJ Green this year is the reason that myself and some people out there have trust issues.
Right.
Okay, because what was the thought going into the draft? AJ Green, hey, if you could be the old guy, you could have yourself a steal in the draft. Right? I drafted him in a couple leagues, and it just did not look good at all.
Right.
So around week 5, I decided to drop AJ Green. Said, look, I just can't do this anymore. Put up 1 point, 8 points, 5 points. And I said, look, I deserve better than this. I stood up for myself.
Okay.
Said, I deserve better than this.
Okay.
And then AJ Green in week 6 and 7 decides to put up 17 and 15 points, getting a bunch of targets and a bunch of yards.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, maybe I need to trust AJ Green again. Maybe there is an upward trend. And then I decided to start him this week. And I didn't have any other options because I had tons of people on bye weeks. And he drops 0 points. No points at all.
No points.
Just nothing.
Right.
Okay. Had the 5 targets and just caught none of them. And I really genuinely hate to say this, but I'm not sure that the talent is there anymore.
No. It's not a hateful thing to say. It's a true thing to say. I believe it as well. I think AJ Green. I think AJ Green is done. I think he's done in Cincinnati. I think this will probably be his last year in Cincinnati. I think that this will be a start to, sounds corny, but a start to something new for him. He can either go to a new team or he's going to be done with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just had that Zac Efron song stuck in my...
No, you're right. That's why I said I didn't want to be corny. That's right.
Something.
Shout out to High School Musical.
Wow, what a banger. Look, I think you just can't hold on to him anymore. I'm really sorry, guys, but you got to let go. And I think this is a confident drop for me. And I think the reason is, think about it. You're never, ever the rest of the year going to be able to start him with any confidence. This is why I have trust issues. AJ Green, you've really done a number on me.
Say no more. Trust issues. That's what I wanted to do.
Trust issues.
My drop candidate, I think we spoke about him once before, but we're going to talk about it again because I think it's time to just get rid of him. I think we were on the fence with him last time. It's Devin Singletary. And look, I think it's just time to make room, on your team, really. 2 fantasy points this week, which is absolutely terrible. 4 carries for 15 yards, 1 reception for -5 yards. It's not okay. He has 5 touches in each of the last 2 games. It's clear that Zach Moss is the more talented back on this team. It's clear that the Bills want to use Zach Moss, a lot more. Obviously, don't get me wrong, Zach Moss did have a bad game. He had 2.3 fantasy points, but he still had more carries. Okay?
Yeah.
He still had more carries than Devin Singletary. So I think it's time just to make room. Maybe sell him really low. I mean, there's so many other people out there. Maybe you can drop Devin Singletary for Kalen Ballage. He's still out there. He had 2 pretty good weeks. Or Devin Singletary for Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead is on a lot of fantasy waivers. Like, these are things that you could be doing instead of holding on to Devin Singletary just because he's the starter. He's the starter every week.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it's time to let both of these guys go, unfortunately. It's sad. It is sad, but such is life, guys. Such is life. And unfortunately, you have to make some hard decisions. Yep. And this is a sad one, but I think it's going to be best for your team. We both agree you have to let go of both of these guys. Mm-hmm. Hey, there's probably someone that you're thinking about dropping this week. Why don't you let us know in the comments, either on our Instagram posts or on YouTube. Let us know who you are thinking about dropping. We'd be happy to help and say if it's a good idea or not. And by the way, speaking of help, Badaki, we go live on YouTube every Saturday. We just did it for the first time last week. Mm-hmm. We went live on YouTube on Saturday for about an hour and a half and just answered questions. Said hey to people, hung out with people, and just answered some questions. It was awesome to see so many people there. So we just want to remind you, join us on our live every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. The live will pop up there, I promise you. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, you might as well go ahead and do that so you don't miss out.
Yeah.
Fantasyland Football, you can find us there. It's a fun time, isn't it? It's just a good time to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think I'm going to try. We haven't spoken about it, but I'm going to try to set a thing where people can, get a notification every time we go live. So I'm set like a reminder where we go, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're there every Saturday.
Absolutely. Hey, do not miss our next episode, Week 11 waiver wire targets. A lot of the guys we talked about today might be on that list. So why don't you go ahead and make sure to join us tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to say there is one guy that I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I haven't told Badaki just yet, but it's one guy that I am telling you must avoid on the waiver wire. Find out tomorrow who it is, but you absolutely must avoid this guy.
Wow.
Join us tomorrow on the show. By the way, Badaki, we do have a giveaway coming this week.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams,
Detective.
We're going to post that soon. The detective. Pretty excited to announce that with our partners, RSA. Anything you want to say to close the show?
Nah, huge love, fam. Please if you love the show, if you want to support the show, what really helps us is liking our videos on YouTube, subscribing to us on YouTube, commenting on YouTube. As much as you engage on Instagram, engage on YouTube will be really helpful. All love.
All love, guys. All right. Good luck heading into your Monday night. Hope you get what you need to secure the bag, to secure the dub. All love. We will see you on the show tomorrow. See you there.
Hey, yeah, you, the one listening to this podcast, you made a good decision today. Keep making those good decisions. You know what? Go ahead and do a little dance right now, like no one's watching. 'Cause you deserve it.